So you've been here a week.
Yes.
And your first trip to South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And impressions?
It's very diverse. I mean, Cape Town couldn't be more different than Johannesburg.
Yeah.
Johannesburg's where we started off, and
it's dry and it's cold.
It is. It's very kind of barren, and I couldn't really get an idea of where the, where the centre was, like where the centre was, or where the
so
everyone kind of, there was no real
hub, like Cape Town. You a better sense of a hub. It's just smaller.
But we had a really good time there. We went to Soweto, and we had
did the whole thing.
We got a tour around like Nelson Mandela's house and museum and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. We went to a game park and we got to play with all lion cubs.
Oh, cool. Yeah. See, most South Africans never get to do that.
I know. That's what everyone was saying. They were saying, I've never done that. It's the same in Australia though. Like I've never been to Ayers Rock. Yes. And most Australians haven't.
And everyone else who travels
that goes to that's the first place they want to go.
Yeah.
So and then yesterday in Durban we got to go and see the biggest dolphin in captivity.
The
SeaWorld.
SeaWorld place.
Yeah. What? Gambit. That was its name. It was so cute.
Cute.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was 530 kilograms or something, but could make it.
So, and then you played in Joburg. What was it like?
I played a couple of shows in Johannesburg, and they were really good. Really just kind of small, intimate shows.
Yes,
and it was really nice to just get back down to the basics because in Australia I tour with a full band.
Yeah.
And we've just done a tour in the US and the UK with my band.
Yeah.
And
that's right. I saw something in Cuba. Yeah. That must have been great.
Yeah, it was. It was the first time I've done like a overseas tour with my band, so it was really cool.
Yeah.
And then over here, we stripped it back down.
Because we're sort of on the tail end of this, aren't we? Really, because this album is. It's more than 2 years old.
Yeah, it was released in 2004 in Australia and then 2005 in America.
Okay.
Yeah, so...
And have you spent much time in the States?
I have actually.
Ball game altogether.
It is, yeah. I recorded the album in the States.
Yeah, that's right.
And, yeah, I have spent quite a bit of time in the States. I've done endless support tours over there. Yeah, supported a lot of people. So I've managed to get a small live fan base over there. So.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because that's even more spread out, and you literally have to spend 12 months a year touring just to get people to.
Exactly, and I've been doing that for a couple of years. So there's just so many little cities that you can go to in town,
and you can fill out.
Yeah, exactly.
In a heartbeat. Yeah, so many people. Which is great for the industry because that's something we don't have here. Our industry is so small.
Yeah.
But we suffer from the same sort of typical industry nonsense that I think every country has, about trying to break acts and getting behind them. And, and it's interesting. I don't know if it happens in Australia that way. It's when in your own country it took someone overseas to actually take the time to realise what you were about and buy into you before your own country.
Yeah.
Says, great. And then all of a sudden you're very Australian all of a sudden.
Yeah. That's kind of happened to happened to a few Australian artists.
I think it's happened to every band that isn't, Dave Matthews. Dave Matthews is, he was born here. He grew up here for a couple of years, but he didn't spend his formative years here. But
did he really?
Every South African claims him as South African.
Yeah, right.
He comes out here once a year for But Richard E. Grant is another one. He's an actor who grew up in Swaziland, but and nobody gave him the time of day. And so all of a sudden he became sort of popular. Then it's like, he's out. Then they claim you back, and which is interesting. But what was
you claim what you want to claim, and you reject what you want to reject.
Well, for you, you didn't. You weren't in a position where you were knocking on 100 doors trying to get a deal. It was the other way around. For you.
Yeah, it happened actually quite easily. I was very lucky. It almost fell into my lap. I won a radio competition in Australia when I was 17, and the prize for that competition was to get my song on the radio. Okay. So at that point, I only had about 4 or 5 songs to my name, and I got signed with about that many songs as well. So I was very lucky, and I got signed a record deal with 11
But now you signed that in the States, or was that back in Australia?
That was in Australia. I signed that for Australia, and then the next year I signed in America.
Because what was interesting for me is that I spent just shy of a year in LA, and KCRW was one of my favourite stations, and I still listen to it on the internet. And they are a station that's been they've been responsible for really identifying some amazing talent over the last decade or two.
They've been great.
Yeah, they've been going for years, but when Chris Doritas was there, and I think,
he's the one who took interest in me.
I mean, they are this little community-based station, campus, or essentially campus station, and they have such power when it comes to breaking artists. I think every time
they're very
you go
respected.
back, every time you go back, you almost feel obligated to, well, not obligated, but you would want to go and do a set, do a live set there, because
definitely.
They have broken a lot. Will recognise the talent that you clearly have.
It's kind of similar to Triple J actually in Australia, the station that broke me over there.
Yeah.
And that was, KCRW. When I first came over to America to sign a record, to record shop, whatever.
Yes.
Good company shop. The showcase was in the KCRW. So we got all the record company execs to come in, and I did like a live radio thing.
Yeah.
So that was how that.
Again, it's got a nice sort of aesthetic and a nice feel about it. It doesn't feel sort of all sterile,
well, everyone there is really passionate about music,
which is great, because that's something that, again, like even in this country, the industry's not big enough to really embrace it in that way.
Yeah.
Whereas numbers just dictate that you can do that kind of thing, which is great. But I mean, for you, it must have been because your talent was realised from day one. You've literally, it's just been an obvious progression. In some ways, hasn't it?
I haven't really had to go through that struggle of wanting to get, trying to get signed, let alone wanting to get signed. I was just like, I was still at school at the time, and I was like, wow, someone wants to give me a record deal. That's crazy.
What's that mean?
And that was the moment where I thought maybe I can actually make a full-time career out of this, rather, because I thought, when I decided that I wanted to sing, I was about 13 or 14, and maybe even younger, and I thought that it was something that I was just going to do in my free time, or I'd established that I loved to do it, and that I wanted to do it, but I didn't know that I could make it a full-time thing. I thought I'd have a proper job on the side, and then a real job.
As your parents would say.
Yeah, well, my dad wanted me to go to university, like have that security.
It's the University of Life.
Yeah. And as soon as I got a record deal, he's like, okay, maybe you don't have to go to university.
And has it been really non-stop since then for you? Have you seen?
Well, I mean, when I signed, I was about August of 2001, and on condition of signing, I said, I hope you know that I've been planning to go backpacking overseas with my friend from school, and I still want to do that. I don't want to go straight into this. I don't want to record an album for at least a year.
It's a big step to not take, because you'd sort of go, well, what happens if it's not here?
Well, I mean, I signed it.
Yeah.
They were legally contracted for me to release at least one album. I didn't actually give it that much thought. Like, there was a lot of people around me saying, why, jump on this, ball as it's rolling.
Well, that's because typically they.
Well, while there was a little bit of public interest because of the radio competition, and my song was getting played a little bit on the radio, and I thought, I only had a handful of songs, and this is something that I was really had wanted to do for years, and I'd been saving up for it, and a lot of people around me were saying also that once you get started with your first album, there's no time between your first and your second album. It just keeps on progressing and gets faster. And there's no way that I could take a year off and go backpacking now. So I'm glad I got it out of the way.
And the obvious question is that this has been your calling card. Do you have another 5 songs for the next record?
I have more than 5 songs. I've got about I think I've got enough for the next record now. No, not 5. I've got about 40 actually. and I'm actually kind of getting ready to make the next one soon.
So is it time? Will you go back to the States to do that, do you think? Or?
I think so. I think I'm going to be recording in LA.
And I mean, what's changed for you? I mean, when you listen back to this record and you listen to the kind of stuff that you're writing now, is there a radical shift, or is it just is there again that sort of progression?
I don't know about a radical shift, but I think I'm definitely progressing as a songwriter, and I think I'm improving. I think I'm just basically growing up and maturing a bit. So, what I write about is maybe a little bit more complex than what I did write about. Not necessarily about deeper issues. Just I think the way that I write my lyrics is, to me, more interesting and more in depth.
Is it still exciting to play these songs? I mean, do you get the same kind of buzz doing these songs
live?
As you did? Yeah.
I go through phases. Like, depending on what's happening in my life at the moment, I can adapt the songs to what's happening.
Sure. Yeah.
At the moment. Sometimes I guess just get really over it, and I think, God, am I going to have to play this for the rest of my life?
Yes, exactly. It was like,
yeah. But then, when I play these songs with my band, there's always a bit of a different element. And
we thought you do like a death metal version.
Yeah, it's funny actually. We did the song "The Sound of White." One of the concerts we actually did a bluegrass version,
no way.
Which is like a bit of a joke. But now ever since that, people have been requesting the bluegrass version.
Be careful when you do that.
I know.
No, it wasn't. It was just a joke, and they came over. We liked it.
I know. We completely divided the audience on that one too. Like, there's a lot of people going, "What does she think she's doing? She's butchering this song," and then some people going, "Yeah, this is great."
What's been your biggest accolade, I suppose, in the sense for you as a musician? Because obviously you've got musicians and bands that you look up to. Have any of them acknowledged your work? Have you heard anything like that? Someone that you respected coming on, going, "This is it's an exceptional body of work."
I've pretty much everyone I've toured with has been really supportive. Like I toured with the Finn brothers from Crowd House in Sweden, and they were really supportive of my live shows. That every night they were congratulating me.
Just come and record with us, do a song. Have you done anything like that?
I have. I've recorded with I don't know if you know Tim Rogers.
Yes.
Yeah, I did a couple of duets with him on his album, and who else? I'm trying to think. That's about it. Have I done any other duets? Can you remember?
No, but you're about to do one with Paul Kelly.
Oh yeah, Paul Kelly.
By the way, just throw that in.
Yeah. Well, I haven't done it yet. That's why it's wasn't fresh in my memory. But when I go back, I'm about to do a duet with him. So.
And then you like doing that kind of stuff? I mean.
Yeah, I do. I mean, if it's someone that I admire, definitely. I'm not interested in really collaborating with anyone if I don't like the music.
And producers and people like that, are you sort of aware of who's out there who you'd like to sort of work with?
Yeah, I mean, I am really interested in working with Mitchell Froome, who did all the Crowded House, and I'm a big fan of Ethan Johns, who does. Who did Bryan Adams and Rufus Wainwright.
Yeah.
Many others.
See that twang's coming back again. I can see there's a country record coming out at some point in your career.
Well, it's funny because I've written a few songs that could, depending where you take them production-wise, they could be quite country.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to put the brakes on that one a little bit at the moment, though.
It's okay, country's cool.
Yeah.
It's in you see. So
it is, like I actually do like a lot of that kind of music. So.
You can't escape it.
Yeah.
Well, it's worked for people like Bryan Adams, I suppose. But then, I mean, he kept on shifting it too, just to mess with people. I think it's when they thought sort of pin him down.
Yeah.
You do a rock record and you go, okay. And they're equally good. So
I think my next record's going to be a little bit of a mixture actually, because I have got a few folky country songs like that, and then I've got some ballads, and then I've got a few rockier songs.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. I'm sure that every artist has that in them that you just want to, you need a bit of angst.
Well, especially. if you're angry about something and you sit down and write a song, it's not going to come out as a ballad, you know. It's going to come out as something with.
Yeah, you have to pay attention. I'm just about to get pissed off.
Yeah, I have got a song like that. Actually.
Yeah. And so you go back now. You do the duet. Then what happens? Then there's really back into the studio before the end of the year.
I'm going to do a bit. I've got a couple of months to do a bit more writing, and then I think in the studio around October. Kind of tentative date for it.
You seem quite strict though, in the sense that you said yourself these, you know, that when you do something that's the way you're going to do it, you tend to stick to those.
Not really. I mean, we've put aside October for the album, but if I don't have enough great songs, I'm not going to record. But it has been a long time, so I'd like to, you know.
Even if you just bang out some demos,
Yeah. Get it over and done with.
So
it's some new
like
material.
Get it over.
No, not get over and done with, but just at least start it.
Yeah.
It's been so long.
Great. Well, thank you. It's been great chatting to you.
No worries.
We'll be at the show tomorrow night.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a great little venue. It's really small too, so if you get 100 people in there, it's like busting, which is
really
fun. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
Well, thank you, and we look forward to the country and the rock and the bits in between.
Yeah.